You're watching Investigation Discovery on Demand. A serial robber.
If it's not tied down, he'll take it.
Escape artist and con man.
Oh, he was lovely, man.
He's a slick rascal. Yeah, he is.
Leads police on a wild ride.
Pedal to the metal. I got the car up to about $110.
He boldly breaks out of jail during a hurricane and flees with his girlfriend.
You are crazy.
We started nicknaming ourselves Bonnie and Clyde.
He launches his own crime ring, raking in hundreds of thousands of dollars
People were losing property left and right.
and sparking a multi-state manhunt. No criminal wants to go to prison, so some go on the run. This is the story of one man who almost got away with it. October 1997, St. Johns County, Florida.
They're good. They're gone now.
19-year-old Virginia native Robert Askew races down a country road.
I was dating Nicole at the time. She's like, damn, we're going to go to jail if they catch us. You know, we need to hurry up. We need to get away.
The police are not far behind.
Dispatch, I need backup. Need backup now.
Pedal to the metal. I got the car up to about probably $110. And, you know, by this time, we're just about to the end of the highway.
We're good. We're good.
Askew has a stolen pistol and cocaine in his backseat, but that's not why the law is after him. The couple was spotted breaking into a country store for beer and cash, and the police are in hot pursuit.
You know, I'm dirty. I already got stuff on me I'm not supposed to have, so I run from them thinking, you know, I can get away. I've always had that sort of thing for the law. I don't like getting busted by them. I don't think too many people do.
Oh, hey.
It's just another day in the life of a young but accomplished drug dealer, con artist, and thief.
Let me get the usual.
Askew had extensive criminal history. A couple different states, long history in Virginia. He was definitely a con.
A favorite technique of Askew's is to scope out a property during a drug sale.
He will have you believe whatever he wants you to. He can make it sound like he's the greatest guy in the world, when in fact he's just trying to get to you to get to your property, your money, your dope, whatever you have.
Askew comes back when the owner isn't home.
Yo, Sean, you home?
If it's not tied down, he'll take it. If it's tied down, he'll cut it away and take it.
Askew blames his life of crime on his upbringing.
Thanks, son.
Hey, where'd you get that stuff? You know, found it.
Father is just as bad as he is, but it's not an excuse at all.
I didn't teach him anything about stealing. He just picked it up from just doing it. He started doing it on his own. He was a good boy. I guess he kind of just went a little haywire, you know?
This time, the cocky teenager may have gone too far. The police car begins to close in on them.
As I accelerated, he accelerated, and then once I began to catch up to him, I think he realized he probably couldn't get away.
Shoot a robbery suspects from a convenience store?
I'm not even thinking clearly at all. Everything's wide open, wild as hell.
Askew needs to think quickly.
So, back down, slow down enough, shoot up in somebody's driveway, jump out of the car.
The couple abandons the vehicle and takes off into the Florida swampland.
I got out of my car, and I yelled at him, "Deputy Sheriff." I told him to stop running. And I gave that command several times, and they kept running into the wood line.
Deputy Sheriff, freeze!
The best thing to do at this point in time is to call for assistance.
Dispatch, it's Officer Robertson. Bring the dogs.
I got jeans on, a long sleeve shirt. She's actually got on shorts. and a long sleeve shirt. She kept crying and complaining, saying, you know, the palmetto bushes would turn her legs up, which they were. I'm thinking they're getting ready to bring dogs in. We need to get some transportation. We need to get some distance between them and us.
Askew's instincts are right. Minutes later, Deputy George Letts arrives with a canine unit. The dog immediately picks up on the couple's scent.
And she took off, and she ran a trail from the car, a little bit to the south, with kind of a swampy, muddy creek bottom, and tracked through there. It's not an easy territory. There are briars and thorn bushes that grow in those swamps that will cut you to pieces.
Finally, the young couple emerges in a residential neighborhood. Nicole's legs are bleeding badly. They spot a man leaving his house.
Hey, can I help you guys?
Askew knows the cops could be there any minute. He turns on the charm.
And I was like, hey, look, me and my girlfriend, we had a flat tire. I need to try to get up here to the hotel if we can.
The man hesitates, but buys his story.
All right, I guess. You know, quick off the top of the head line. Just something, you know, to get us from point A to point B.
Smooth talker. Very smooth talker. Street smart. If he had applied himself to something else, he might have done something. He might have been a millionaire.
Very brave and very crafty, it's safe to say, yeah. Yeah, he's a slick rascal. Yeah, he is.
The man drops Askew and Nicole off at a local hotel. They head inside to get a room.
He drops us off. We shot inside. She's washing up, you know, seeing how bad her legs are cut off. And I felt horrible for her, being the fact that she had got cut up like that, you know, with the palmetto bushes. I'm feeling like I need to get transportation to get the hell out of here. Because I knew the cops are going to be looking for us. So I'm thinking about the next move.
We're looking for a young man, young woman, man.
Just as the Good Samaritan arrives back home, the canines lead police to his doorstep.
I just took him down to the motel in town.
Which motel?
He said, oh, yeah, I gave those guys a ride. I know who you're talking about. They were right here. I got on the radio and I conveyed that to Commander Strickland.
At the hotel, Askew and Nicole are getting ready to leave as police pour into the parking lot.
We got company.
I look out the window and see all the cops. By this time, they're pretty much coming up and they surround the room, talking about come out with your hands up, all this stuff.
Askew is cornered.
Open the door!
There is no way out.
I knew him getting ready to go to jail. I didn't open the door for him. I made him kick the door in. They actually used a little battering ram and knocked the door in.
The couple is arrested. Askew is charged with breaking and entering and possession of narcotics. He also faces a laundry list of pending charges in multiple states.
I had stuff in North Carolina, I had stuff pending in Virginia. I had some breaking and entering charges pending, larceny charges pending, possession of stolen goods, already pending in court.
Nicole cooperates with the police and is released.
Hey, don't be scared, okay? You'll be fine.
Askew gets lucky and is handed a relatively light sentence.
The judge sentenced me to 364 days. I don't know if you call it getting off easy. I never really thought about it at that time. You don't think about stuff like that.
November 1998. After serving his year in Florida, Askew is transferred to a work camp in North Carolina for a previous charge of breaking and entering. He has just 90 days left on his sentence. But the cagey criminal knows he has a lot more to answer for if the cops do more digging.
I knew if they pulled my prints and ran them again, you know, there's a good possibility a hit was going to come up. We're going to have an outstanding warrant in Virginia, North Carolina. Something was going to come up.
Askew's afraid his criminal history could keep him locked up for a long time. The only choice he sees is escape.
I made my mind up that night. I said the next day when I go out on the work detail, I'm going to haul ass. I'm gone. They're going to have to run me down and shoot me, whatever. But I'm leaving.
The following day, Askew is at work with the other inmates.
2 two officers go with us. At the time, they had built a brand new high school, and we were mulching in the flower beds. One of the officers that were with us would kind of sit back in the shadows and watch, make sure that we were working. The other one was at the other end of the building.
When the guards aren't looking, Askew makes his move.
There's nobody near me. I flipped the wheelbarrow up, into the trash pile. Look back over my shoulder one good time. I'll take off. Nobody's kind of like really paying attention, but at the same time, they are.
Askew has just moments to reach the woods. If he's spotted, he'll be facing many more years behind bars. November 1998, Hoffman, North Carolina. 20-year-old serial thief Robert Askew bolts away from work camp in a daring escape. He's making a run for the woods, right under the noses of the guards.
Knew I'd have a good little bit of time I could get away from them. I took off, get through the woods, adrenaline's pumping, sweating.
Askew keeps running in search of a road. So far, his escape has gone unnoticed.
The guards. They have to keep up there one of them. Usually there's one in the front, there's one in the back. It's a big task because he's got them 8 inmates. Well, you got this one over here with the wheelbarrow. You got another one over there with a shovel. And they're scattered out in a right good sized area.
The fugitive knows he can't get far enough away from the guards on foot. He needs to think fast.
You're real motivated. You want to get away, so you're going to do whatever it takes to get the hell away.
A master of deception, Askew boldly flags down a passing car.
How folks doing today? Oh, you look lovely, man.
Where you coming from, son?
So I'm just on my way back to boot camp.
I got green pants on, a drab, olive green shirt on, combat boots. That general area, man, they would probably think that I was out of the Army and the Marine Corps.
Askew's smooth talking works.
Tell you what, son, why don't you get in the back?
Thank you.
It buys him a free ride.
Oh, I really appreciate it.
People are gullible for the most part. If you give them a story and you give them a good line, they're 9 times out of 10 they're going to believe it until you prove them different.
I think he's a con artist. He don't know nothing else.
Oh, hey, man, I can do.
You're missing one. You seen Askew?
Back at the work camp, the guards notice they are short one prisoner.
Askew! Dispatch is Hannah. We got a runner.
They notified the local law enforcement, and they started looking.
But by now, Askew is miles away. May 1999. 6 months have passed since Askew's escape from the prison work camp. The fugitive is now 21 years old and living with his new girlfriend, Katrina, in the popular beach town of Nags Head, North Carolina.
Hey, it's beautiful out here, ain't it?
No, I'm really happy.
Met Kat coming down to the Nags Head partying. She was in love. I was in love. She hadn't had anybody ever take care of her, I guess, the way I did.
With Katrina at his side, Askew dives right back into dealing and stealing.
No, I'm good.
This time, using an alias.
I was going by Jeremy at the time. I kind of fell back into the same routine. The same lifestyle I was living in Virginia. It was just a little bit more undercover, so to speak.
What's the occasion on this? You all going out tonight somewhere? You staying in?
It's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
Askew makes enough small talk to find out the best time to return to rip off his marks.
Hey, let's go.
Okay. See you later. Thanks.
I'd wait. They wanted to go out to the clubs and party, and I'd go in their back doors and take what they had. You love the adrenaline rush from it. It makes you feel good. Yeah, it's the ultimate.
But Askew's life as Jeremy is jeopardized when one of his customers realizes he has valuable information about the fugitive and gives him up.
Her boyfriend, Jeremy.
Cat slipped up and it said something to the extent that I had escaped.
He busted out.
Hey.
He didn't know no details, but he was like, hey, look, I got somebody that comes over all the time. Listen to Escape, he just blabbed it out, he told everything, he snitched me out all the way.
It's pretty much all I know. Days later, Askew is out shopping with Katrina.
And one of the local cops pulled up.
Damn, I think that cop's looking at her.
He had a picture of me up on his dash.
Askew is sure he's been ID'd. He considers making a run for it, but doesn't want to risk a high-speed chase with Katrina in the car.
Sir, get out of the car, please.
Cat's crying and boo-hooing, you know, nothing she can really do.
He's taken into custody.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Askew is brought before a judge. Just as he feared, he will finally have to answer for all of his crimes.
I'm facing this multiple felony counts, I guess, through computer systems. At that time, they were starting to get interlinked. You know, if you had outstanding charges or warrants, and a county or two over, they would find out.
While awaiting trial, Askew is held in the Chowan County Jail in Edenton, North Carolina. He has no doubt that this time, he'll face a lengthy prison sentence.
Even the chief jailer kept telling me over and over, you're going to jail for a long time, you're going to be in jail 15 or 20 years. And if somebody tells you 15 or 20 years, you're like, well, damn. You know, my life's going to be over with.
Best of luck to you. His thoughts turn to escape. Askew knows he's about to be sent to an even more secure facility. It's now or never.
If I don't do this now, I'm not going to have another chance to get away. I'm in a little small country hick town jail. It's like Mayberry. You know what I mean? Like Otis is in the cell next door.
Askew begins to look for an exit strategy.
Kept noticing every day when I went out, I'd kind of pull on the door a little bit, and it would jam and stick a little bit. So, you know, I kept doing that for a few days back to back. I kept hearing the motor up inside kind of give.
The door is a steel sliding door. They kept pulling on it, pulling to the side and all. Once Askew got it off the track, then he pushed it back.
I said, if I can get out through that door, I can get up where the officers would just randomly leave keys. You set your mind to, hey, look, I'm gonna get these keys and I'm gonna leave.
Hey, baby. Yeah, it's me. On the phone with his girlfriend, Katrina, the criminal's plan takes shape.
Your what?
And they're on the news, you know, screaming about it's a big hurricane getting ready to hit, Hurricane Floyd. It's like, you know, it's going to tear up the East Coast. It's going to be all kinds of havoc. And I knew if I could get away during the hurricane, they'd never catch me. And I told Kat, I was like, look, I'm going to leave. And I was like, you're coming with me. We'll go somewhere nice, though.
Okay, I'll see you soon.
Just wait on my phone call.
Okay, bye.
September 16th, 1999. Hurricane Floyd is set to hit the coast of the Carolinas. Askew knows now is the time to run.
Hurricane made landfall that evening about 6 o'clock.
Askew's cell door is now off the tracks far enough for him to open it on his own. And the keys to freedom are tantalizingly close.
Hey, buddy. Go grab the guard and tell him you want to talk to a bondsman. What you want me to do that for?
Askew convinces one of the other inmates to create a distraction.
Come on, man, help me out.
I got you. Guard! Guard!
But another inmate, he told the officer on duty that he needed a bondsman's telephone number.
See what I can do. Appreciate it.
Well, the officer went up front to get the telephone number. The officer made a bad mistake. He left his keys on the desk.
When they did that, like I said, I already had the cell door popped loose. I slipped out. I walked around the corner, I grabbed the keys up.
He had 2 to 3 minutes before the officer came back.
All the doors in the facility were color-coded. I mean, it'd take a rocket scientist to put A and B together and say, well, damn, if I put key A in slot B, it's gonna work.
Askew walks head-on into the biggest storm to hit the East Coast in decades.
If I walk out into a, raging-ass storm, it's pouring down rain, thunder and lightning out. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Askew knows his escape won't go unnoticed for long.
I'm thinking, damn, what am I gonna do now? Heart's in my throat, pounding 100 miles an hour.
The fugitive may be free from jail, but he is now at the mercy of a violent Mother Nature. September 1999. Hurricane Floyd is ravaging the east coast of the United States. At the Chowan County Jail in Edenton, North Carolina, 21-year-old serial thief and conman Robert Askew is attempting to escape in the middle of the ferocious storm.
Well, I couldn't hear nothing but wind and rain. The wind was, was probably blowing at least 30, 40 miles an hour.
Askew knows the cops could be on his trail any second. When the guard comes back, he realizes Askew has escaped.
Where you at? Came to sleep, brother.
He immediately notifies Chief Jailer Mike Chinslow.
Well, first thing I do is jump in my car and come up here.
Are you guys going to have the resources in this kind of weather?
With the hurricane, we're very thin.
By that time, the sheriff's been called, all the deputies has been called out, and we all start looking for him.
Less than a mile away, Askew is still battling the raging storm.
It was scary to a certain extent. At the same time, it was more exciting. I'm a free man.
But he may not be for long. He needs to find a way out of the area before the cops find him.
They started cutting through neighborhoods, running / walking.
As night falls, he sees an opportunity.
I start hearing a bunch of loud music and partying and stuff. Young kids are throwing a hurricane party.
Askew strips off his prison shirt and walks in as if he were invited.
I just rolled up there to the party like I'm supposed to be there. And one of the girls, she's like, "Damn, boy, what's going on?" I was like, "Look, me and my girlfriend got in an argument. I'm stuck right now." She's like, "Well, can I do anything to help you out?"
You're not here, right?
Right where?
I'm not that far, just across town.
I've always had that magnetism to where I've had women talk to me with ease, no problems.
He was good with the ladies. He's a pretty fancy fellow with them. Yeah, he's real convincing. He talked them girls right out of their drawers.
Let me come back, maybe have a beer then.
Okay, all right, that's good.
In this case, I needed a ride, and that's what I got. I got a ride.
Let's go.
I really appreciate it.
The girls drive Askew 30 miles north to the neighborhood where his father and stepmother now live.
About 3 or 4 in the morning, the dog starts barking like crazy.
I creeped up to my parents' house and I tapped on the window.
Thanks, Robbie.
Once they heard my voice, they knew it was me.
Go out that store, put this on, you're wet, you're cold. What are you doing? Aren't you supposed to be in jail?
I was like, "Well, look, I just escaped." He's like, "Yeah, I kind of figured that out."
Cops gonna be all over this place and know.
I told him, I said, "Look, you can't stay here, son." I said, "The police will be up here after you and all."
But first, they have to find him.
I'll go. I just want to grab my stuff.
You feel bad, because you entrusted with holding these people. Even though I was not directly involved with him leaving, I was in charge.
30 miles away, despite the raging storm, law enforcement is on the street searching for Askew.
You seen this man?
You had the sheriff's department, police department, you had the highway patrol, you had the game wardens. Everybody that was in law enforcement at all was out looking for him. I knew he was from Gates County, and I figured some way he was going to try to get back there.
Hope he catch him.
At 5 a.m., the officers find the lead they've been looking for. The hurricane party is still raging.
I look familiar to you.
We finally got to break the girl and took him out in the county.
Dad, he was just here.
The woman who just dropped Askew off tells officers exactly where they can find the fugitive.
All right, lady.
Okay.
Be careful.
Okay.
Really bad out there.
Meanwhile, in the neighboring county, Askew retrieves a bag he had left with his father for just such an occasion.
I had a bug out bag. I got money in there. It was probably about $7,000 cash in there. A couple pistols, change of clothes. I had some weed in there. Just stuff that I knew I was gonna need. I called Cat.
Now all he needs is his girlfriend to come get him so they can hit the road together.
Hello?
Hey, Katrina, it's me.
I'm like, hey, look, I'm out. This is where I'm at. She wanted to come, and at all costs, we were gonna make sure that she could come.
We gotta be out here by sunup, please.
Okay, bye.
We could get in trouble just for having him here.
By dawn, the hurricane is past. Askew's stepmom voices her concerns.
I said, Lord, I don't know what we're gonna do with that boy. I said, there ain't nothing we can do with him. We can't chain him to the tree outside like a dog.
As soon as she gets here, I'm going.
Askew knows he is putting his dad and stepmom at risk.
You best get going.
I didn't want to go, but at the same time, I had to go. I'm an escaped convict now. I'm on the run. I'm on the lam. I got to go. I can't stay around. I can stay around. I'm gonna get busted, and I'm gonna get up in trouble.
The clock is ticking.
I told her to throw some clothes together so you can get up whatever money you can.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna catch you.
Both Katrina and the police now know where Askew is.
Bugged out, paranoid, adrenaline rush is over with by now.
The fugitive's freedom rides on who gets there first. September 17th, 1999, Gates County, North Carolina. 21-year-old thief and conman Robert Askew has just staged a daring escape from jail straight into the arms of Hurricane Floyd. He is waiting at his parents' house for his girlfriend to pick him up. But the police are also on the way. Finally, Askew hears a car pull up to the house. Lucky for him, it's his girlfriend, Katrina.
She's ecstatic. She's happy. Hugging, kissing all over me. She feels like she's escaping too. I got my girl. I got some money. Oh, I'm free.
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm impressed by the things he's done. But I always told him, I said, look, you ain't gonna keep getting away with this. Yeah, eventually, you're gonna get caught.
The fugitive and his girlfriend take off just in time.
It's a wild climate.
You got that right.
10 minutes later, the cops arrive.
He tracked all the way to his parents, and when he got there, then they claimed they don't know where he went.
Didn't tell me a thing, officer.
I assumed he went to Virginia. Of course, he was in trouble in Virginia, too.
Askew's dad and stepmom are never charged for his brief stop home. As the cops regroup, Askew and his girlfriend are already miles away, planning an extended road trip.
Yeah, well, let's do it. Let's go somewhere crazy like we've never been before.
We went everywhere. California, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, Utah, Idaho. All over the place.
You are crazy.
The goal was to get enough money saved up and built up that we could take off, leave the country, and stay gone.
In every town, the couple gets money by scamming the local drug dealers.
I'll just have a beer.
We'd meet people out at clubs or bars or something.
Do you want to look it up?
Hey, that guy over there.
We'd find out who the big guy was in town. Of course, Cat helped. Cat was the main part of it.
I heard you're the guy to talk to around here.
She's a hot young chick, nice figure, good-looking woman. Well, they immediately want to talk to her. People got loose lips. They talk.
Just looking for some coke.
guys that were out there, slinging dope, crack dealers, stuff like that. I had absolutely no problem stealing a rock from them.
That's just a little taste. It's nothing compared to what I had. I gotta get out of here. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Will I find you here later?
I'd wait until they would go out to their car, find out where they live.
I'll be back.
Askew and Kat then follow the drug dealers home.
I'd wait, lay on them, wait. They'd take off to go out partying.
Be careful, okay?
I will.
When the coast is clear, Askew makes his move.
I slip in and slip out like a bank robbery. I mean, in and out quick. You come back and you got all this money and all this drugs and stuff. But that's an aphrodisiac in itself. That's a good thing. We started nicknaming ourselves Bonnie and Clyde. She liked being Bonnie. Definitely liked being Clyde. As soon as I made the score, you'd leave. And it wouldn't just be, a couple 100 miles down the road. We're talking about state to state.
March 2001. Askew and Katrina have made their way to New Orleans. They have been on the run for over a year.
We had some real good times. We got to hit Mardi Gras. We're in downtown, we're in the French Quarter. Come evening time, right at dark, we can't find the caddy. We can't find him nowhere. We looked for at least an hour and a half.
The lost car is a major problem. All of their money, drugs, and various stolen items are inside.
No, it's not fun. Robbie, without that car, we don't have nothing. We have nothing without the car.
We got to find the car. She's just about in tears. She's like, we're both going to jail.
Oh, here. We'll just ask the cop then.
You can't ask a cop. Are you kidding me?
Despite multiple warrants out for his arrest, Askew confidently strolls over to the police car.
If anybody knows where the hell the caddy's at, the police will find him. You're stolen parking stuff.
I got this ticket, and Seth was supposed to be here, but you can help me out?
I mean, we're unsuspecting. We're two kids. We could be fresh out of college. We could be on spring break. They didn't ask for any ID. They didn't ask for nothing.
Hey, baby. They're gonna give us a ride. Hop in. Thank you.
The officers give the couple a ride and locate the car.
Thanks so much.
Askew can't resist savoring the moment.
You guys all mind taking a picture with me real quick?
And right after we find the caddy, I was like, hey, look, grab the camera off the back seat. So she ends up taking a picture, my arms wrapped around these two cops. I got a wanted t-shirt on that says, I'm wanted. And it's got these fake bullet holes through it. They're smiling, I'm smiling. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, if they only knew, It was me against them. Every time I could get over on them, that was the thing to do.
But for Katrina, the thrill of their Bonnie and Clyde adventure suddenly starts to fade.
After we got in the Cadillac, she just didn't even say anything. I think she was just kind of reflecting on what just happened. The situation actually become real to her at that time.
Settle down.
She's like, look, we need to go somewhere, permanently and just chill out.
Askew decides it's time to go home. The couple returns to Nags Head, North Carolina, and rents a condo near the ocean. Askew is the breadwinner.
He would break into houses down here, steal TVs, furniture, whatever, take it back to Virginia, and he would swap it out for dope.
It's a lucrative business, and he's doing it every chance he gets.
It was his job. That's what he did for a living.
Take it easy.
But just a few months later, the fugitive is pulled over across the border in Virginia Beach, Virginia, for an expired license plate. He's driving Katrina's car with a trunk full of stolen merchandise.
I was literally riding dirty. Something I shouldn't have been doing. I was right in the process of moving a bunch of stuff.
Seems to be the problem, officer.
When the officer sees a gun in the seat next to him, He orders Askew out of the car.
And I'm thinking to myself, man, I'm getting ready to go to jail.
If the officer discovers the stolen goods and that Askew is an escapee, this fugitive will finally be forced to face the music. For more stories about fugitives on the run, go to investigationdiscovery.com. July 16, 2001, Virginia Beach, Virginia. 23-year-old thief and conman Robert Askew has been on the run for over a year. He's just been stopped by police in his girlfriend's car with a gun in plain sight and a trunk full of stolen merchandise. The officer is suspicious. He cuffs Askew and proceeds to search the vehicle.
When they searched the car, they found scales, they found a large amount of money, they found a sawed-off shotgun, about 6 different sets of IDs. I had probably 12 cameras in the trunk, a bunch of other property, laptops, stuff like that.
When police run Askew's prints, they discover a long list of crimes in Virginia and North Carolina.
You know the backup unit on the inside one?
It was definitely a letdown.
This time, he can't escape trial or sentencing. He spends a full 8 years behind bars for numerous theft and drug charges. But the time doesn't persuade him to change his ways.
You don't sit there and think, well, yeah, I've been living a criminal life for this long, all of a sudden I'm just now going to go straight. You know, you can't really go straight anymore. How can you?
August 2009. After serving his 8 years in a Virginia prison, Askew moves back to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. He is now 31 years old and immediately reunites with his girlfriend, Katrina.
I guess she liked the wild side of me. I was a fun guy. We had a good time. If nothing wasn't going on, I'd make something go on.
He also reconnects with some old friends who help him rebuild his criminal enterprise.
Everybody that was involved prior, previous to me going to jail the first time, was still around.
I got the codes for a bunch of houses, dates, whenever they're gone. Thank you.
He begins targeting vacant vacation homes all along the beach.
I had guys on the inside as far as doing security systems, doing audio video work. They would go in and install stuff and then would relay the info to me. You know, this is how many flat screens it's got, and just run down a whole list.
Askew then makes the most of the information he's given.
Wait till they're gone and then hit them. A lot of times, you come in at night, you might hit 15 or 20 homes in a night.
Askew then fences the stolen goods back across the border in Virginia. He's making money hand over fist. Meanwhile, Detective Rebecca Smith of the Nags Head Police Department begins to notice a major spike in property crimes in her North Carolina district.
There were clusters of break-ins rather than just sporadic. At first, we didn't think anything of it until they started occurring more and more. We look for similarities, consistencies. We look for footprints outside the home. Once we started having more and more where the MO matched, and it looked like this was the same person, we decided we need to speak to the other investigators in the county. We call the surrounding counties.
Detective Smith is shocked at what she finds. The string of thefts extends throughout the Outer Banks. The losses add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's hard to measure the level of frustration because it was happening so much. It was fast and coming more and more often. People were losing property, left and right.
Just across the border in Suffolk, Virginia, Detective John McCarley is also noticing a severe uptick in crime.
We'll get a big spike in burglaries on the north end, which happened to be my area of responsibility. Pressure was on, citizens are worried. We're losing a lot of property. Chief was wanting answers. Citizens are kind of antsy. I'm working this up, trying to take all this information in. And at about that time, that's when we get the call from North Carolina.
McCarley. Officer McCarley, hi.
The police departments begin to compare notes. While they suspect they're dealing with the same criminal, they have no solid leads.
Hey, great. Keep me posted.
At the same time, Askew knows the police must be looking for him. But the cocky con man is sure he can continue to outsmart police. He keeps on hustling, adding prostitution to his criminal operation.
I got girls living at the house. If anything went wrong, they would definitely turn to me. I was making sure the guys was legit. They were safe. Most of the girls would bring anywhere between 600 to 800 a night. I got all this other stuff going on. It's just a lifestyle.
I do not believe Askew when he gets to telling stories. His ego takes over, and he embellishes a lot.
He thinks he's Rico Suave or something. He thinks he's just got it all going on. I think that's a figment of his imagination, but he's gotten lucky, and that's all it is over the years, is just pure luck to get away with so much.
More than a year goes by, and Askew and Kat are living large. Then, across the border in Suffolk County, Virginia, Detective McCarley gets a big break. Officers arrest one of the women who's been a part of Askew's criminal network.
She knew she was in the hot seat. She had this warrant on her. She didn't know what was going to happen, so we kept her talking.
The woman finally points officers toward Robert Askew.
And she eventually got around to these televisions that were going missing. She gave us a house. She says, yeah, he probably just made a delivery over there. You want to check it out?
Surely appreciate it, Miss Candy.
Detective McCarley grabs an officer and heads to the address to investigate.
So we go to this house, and there was approximately 5 or 6 TVs that we pulled out from. We were like, where do you get them? It's Robert Askew. He drove up in such and such vehicle and dropped them off, and we were like, hey, here's a start of something.
Sit it down.
Detective McCarley finally has a name and a face for his suspect.
Well, hello, Mr. Askew.
He dispatches a unit to the parole office in Virginia, where Askew checks in once a week. Detective McCarley wants to catch him in the act. His plan is to put a GPS tracking system on Askew's car.
One of the guys that was surveilling him saw him get out of the vehicle, kind of made a casual walk over to the vehicle, got up underneath, secured it, made sure it was there, popped away from the vehicle, got back in his car like nothing had ever happened. And the race was on from there.
The very next day, January 8th, 2011, the GPS shows Askew on the job.
It didn't take too long before we got a hit. We contacted North Carolina and said, hey, you know, he's back in your area.
Copy that. Thank you.
Askew is leaving his latest target with his hands full. Just as officers arrive at the location.
Sirens everywhere. It seemed like they were coming from all directions.
The prolific thief has been caught red-handed. And yet again, Askew is taken into custody.
As tough and as sure and as cocky as he is, he didn't want to go back to jail. I guess he just doesn't learn.
Katrina's involvement in Askew's crimes could not be independently verified, and she was never charged in connection with them. The two are no longer in contact. Askew is sentenced to 7 years in prison. He will be released in July of 2018.
I think my life of crime is definitely over with.
But law enforcement will be ready, just in case.
I think he's going to con his way the rest of his life.
I give Askew 2 to 3 months.
I promise you we will have to arrest him again.
Thank you for watching Investigation Discovery on Demand. You're watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.
I'll pay you $100,000.
A young pilot makes millions flying marijuana into South Florida for a drug smuggling cult.
Oh, it was great. Fabulous.
He lives a covert but lavish lifestyle.
It was screaming, yes, I'm a drug smuggler. See, as a way.
Until a midnight run ends in disaster.
You lose both your engines, you got a dead body. It's a place you don't want to be in.
He had to be quite a pilot.
The crash leads to an international chess game involving greed.
She had called me up and threatened me.
You have 24 hours.
And a determined lawman.
I had a nickname, Evil. And whenever Evil was around, everybody knew about it.
Tony Darwin, how you doing?
No criminal wants to go to prison, so some go on the run. This is the story of one man who almost got away with it. 1970, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. It's a time of beaches, bars, discos, and drug smuggling. 24-year-old Tony Darwin works as a lawyer, but he's a natural-born pilot.
When I was about 9 years old, my father taught me. He was a full-bar colonel in the Air Force. I have an ATP license, which allows you to fly anything that has wings or helicopter. You learn as you go along a little bit at a time. You fly one airplane, then you fly another. Eventually, you learn all of it.
One night, Darwin's life takes a wild turn.
Tony, stop.
There was a boat that was stuck over in lower Bahamas, and a friend of mine who I'd known for years come up to me and he says, hey, we've got a couple $1,000 of pot that we need to move up here. And the first question out of my mouth, of course, was, how much you pay?
I'll pay you $100,000. $100,000. I need you right now, though. I need you right now.
The lure of easy money is too much for young Darwin to resist. He heads for the Bahamas.
I need your help.
We went down, and it was already at the airport, hidden underneath tarps. We just took a tarp off and loaded it on a plane and flew it in that evening, landed, and they unloaded it, and there it was, cash money. I said, yeah, yahoo, this will work.
That's yours.
Darwin's days of practicing law are over. He decides that crime does pay.
You look at that and you say, wow, this guy paid me $100,000 for a couple hours' work. There is no human being on planet Earth that can avoid that kind of greed if you're not one remotely humanoid.
Darwin's not the only one who can't resist the easy money. In South Florida in the early 1970s, this is business as usual.
Florida historically has a smuggling culture because of its geographic area, 1,200 miles of coastline. And marijuana smuggling became really very profitable after the counterculture of the 60s.
Agent Manny Funes begins working for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement in 1972.
We really had a challenge for law enforcement. We had so much area to cover that it was really impossible to do a good job. The drug smuggling was very heavy, and it was difficult to be everywhere.
Law enforcement has no idea that Darwin will become one of their prime drug-running targets.
It was virtually impossible for the government to keep track of everybody that was smuggling or what they were doing.
Neither of them knows it yet, but Darwin's new job has set him on a collision course with Agent Funes. At first, Darwin manages to stay under the radar for years, flying shipments of marijuana from the Bahamas to South Florida for several small-time smuggling operations.
I would sit down, I would overlook everything and see, okay, well, we got 10,000 pound on here, and we need it here by such and such a date.
Drop off coming down here. Another drop off coming back.
And I would figure out where to land it, how to bring it in, who to take with us. They would arrange the loading crew and the purchase, and I would bring it in.
November 7th, 1977. Darwin is flying thousands of pounds of pot over the Everglades National Park.
We were coming into an airport in St. Petersburg. There was a little airport out on the beach, and nobody even knew about it.
Ron, listen, Ron, it's on your ears, man.
Suddenly, Tony gets a warning from their lookout on the ground.
And we get a call, there's cops here, get rid of it.
Do not make that drop.
The DEA is raiding the airport.
Okay, I'll do it. Bye.
Darwin engages the autopilot and begins frantically dumping the illegal drugs out of the airplane.
That was like 1,200 pounds. And so I dumped the pot, I would vacuum it up through the vacuum rod. We had these cases of what they called ozium. And you spray it around on the airplane, and it would kill any odor.
421, Whiskey Lima, coming in for landing.
Darwin lands and is detained immediately.
You're nice and you're courteous, but inside you're relieved because you know that there's nothing there.
DEA agents search the plane and come up empty. With no evidence, they have no choice but to release him. For now, Darwin is just a drop in the bucket compared to a much larger menace Florida law enforcement is facing. A group known as the Zion Coptic Church is running one of the biggest smuggling operations in the country, right under their noses.
The Zion Coptic Church originated in Jamaica and believes that marijuana is part of a sacrament of the church. They consider marijuana a life-sustaining herb, so they smoke it as part of the sacramental ritual.
In the early 70s, several anti-Vietnam War protesters from the U.S. visited Jamaica. They were introduced to the Coptic Church and brought more than the religion back to the States with them.
They smuggled 200 pounds of marijuana and discovered that, hey, we can make some money from this.
Now, the leader of the Coptic Church wanted to expand, so they bought this mansion in Star Island to have a base in the United States. But it was really a front for marijuana smuggling.
Vance, I'm telling you, there's something coming out of fucking trade. Huh? Yeah, I'm telling you, I know this stuff coming out.
By the mid-1970s, Customs, DEA, and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement are all well aware of the Coptics, who have sued the government for the right to use marijuana for religious purposes. But smuggling and selling the drug clearly remain illegal, and police have not been able to catch them in the act.
They had buyers on a large scale. They were making a lot of money.
Yeah, bye.
Law enforcement has to hang tight until they catch a break in the case. Meanwhile, Tony Darwin continues to rake in the dough in his own drug smuggling operation.
Get ready to go.
But his success now is nothing compared to the fortune he'll make when he eventually crosses paths with a Coptic church.
I just want you guys to catch it.
On November 21st, Agent Funes gets the tip on the Coptics he's been waiting for.
So my boyfriend, my ex-boyfriend, put his hands on me. And he hit my...
Monday morning, coming into the office, this girl, she's got a shiner, got beat up by her boyfriend, and she wants to get back at him, and he's involved in a cult operation from Jamaica, and they're bringing in tons of marijuana.
And I know where he keeps over 80 pounds of pot.
Funes needs proof.
Yes.
They had a single-wide trailer in Zephyr Hills, and she described how there was approximately 80 pounds of marijuana there.
I want you guys to take him down. Let's go.
So I got another agent and the two detectives along with the young girl.
All right, come on, let's go.
The group heads to the address she gave them.
Open it.
Sure enough, there was that single-wide trailer right there in front of us.
Let's go.
We went inside, and there was 80 pounds of marijuana, just like she said.
But what Agent Funes really wants to know is where the 80 pounds came from.
You know where your boyfriend gets all his grass?
She described how they had been going to what appeared to be a farm with a barn, and they would get bales of marijuana. Then they would break it down into nickel bags, and they would sell it on the street.
Now, Agent Funes just needs a warrant for the farm.
We reached out to the judge that was on duty and said, no, Agent Funes, have you got enough people out there?
The judge offers more than just the warrant. He offers to assist with the actual bust.
You guys come down this way?
And then he says, well, I got a permit to carry a weapon. I said, Judge, come on down. I mean, you got to sign a warrant anyway. And he kind of laughed, and sure enough, he showed up with a shotgun.
And the judge will go down the middle, Judge.
And we surrounded this 5-acre plot.
All right, let's go. Yes, guys.
If the information Agent Funes has pays off, he could bring down the most epic group of smugglers in business, the Zion Coptic Church. November 22nd, 1977. Florida authorities have spent the past decade battling an ever-increasing drug smuggling problem.
Died on this farm.
After getting a tip, they're executing a warrant at a farm they've been told is a marijuana stash house used by the Zion Coptic Church. Agent Funes and his team move in on the farm's workers.
I get them all into these right now.
I came from the rear, working up toward the barn. The guys that were working with me naturally held their positions.
You're full of it, brother.
Real, come on, brother.
They were in the barn, and they ran to the front of the property.
The raid nets 7 arrests. They are all known members of the Coptic Church.
Dear God, we got ours.
One of the men, Carl Swanson, is believed to be second in command of the Coptic's U.S. drug operation.
You just point people out and name them criminal, huh?
Swanson was basically the speaker for that group there.
Beautiful, gentlemen. This is beautiful.
Agents make a massive discovery in the barn.
We seized 14.5 tons of marijuana. Back then, it was the biggest bust throughout the state of Florida.
But Swanson and his Coptic cohorts don't stay locked up for long.
Wonderful.
They had the lawyers, and they were paying a lot of money for these guys. They bonded out. The $100,000 bonds were nothing. They were just laughing at us with all the money they were making from the smuggling venture.
Agent Funes already can't keep the Coptics behind bars. And when they eventually join forces with 31-year-old pot pilot Tony Darwin, it will be next to impossible. Despite nearly getting caught in an airport raid in St. Petersburg 2 weeks prior, Darwin isn't deterred. The rewards this brazen pilot is reaping make it worth the risk.
The money kept coming. It was a really great lifestyle. It really was. When you've got money, everybody's your friend. If you walk into a restaurant and you've got 10 people with you and you buy them a meal, everybody's your buddy.
By 1977, Darwin has made tens of millions of dollars smuggling marijuana. With that much money, he can afford to buy several sets of identities.
There was people coming at you all the time and say, look, for a couple thousand, I'll get your driver's license, or you need a passport for 10,000, or it was always there. Whatever you wanted, you could get, as long as you had the cash. My favorite name back in the 70s was Cash Green. I always used Cash Green because everything we did was in cash.
He also establishes dummy corporations with offshore accounts.
You would say we had 10 or 20 million, put the money into an airplane, leave in the middle of the night, fly to the Cayman Islands, and then from there, have them wire the money to other accounts.
Darwin also stashes cash in the ground around his South Florida properties, like buried treasure.
You always kept a couple million just in case you needed cash or had a post bond. You'd go out and get these PVC tubes, 6 inches in diameter tubes, and you sealed it up and buried it somewhere. You could get 500,000-600,000 in a tube. The rest of it, you just get it the hell out of there and get it offshore as fast as you could.
Bring down the Coptic Church.
Despite the fact that Darwin is raking in millions of dollars, he is still not on Agent Funes' radar. He remains focused on the Coptics and has put together a special team to gather more evidence against them.
We had a task force that included the Sheriff's Office, Customs, and DEA. I was slowly putting all this information together to find out who these people were. I discovered their mansion on Star Island, and then we started doing surveillances.
Oh yeah, I know this guy.
Agent Funes stakes out the Coptic compound that sits between Miami and South Beach.
They would chant, carry on, and smoke that marijuana, but the back of their property, they could bring a boat, offload people, offload money, offload dope.
Agent Funes waits to catch them smuggling. He needs solid evidence to put the church's members behind bars. March 1978, Sylvania, Georgia. While Agent Funes remains focused on busting the Coptics in Florida, Darwin sits on a small tarmac runway. He is waiting while more than 3,000 pounds of pot are unloaded from his plane. Suddenly, there are cop cars everywhere.
Let me see your head. The guy that was in charge of setting up the airport, who we trusted, didn't know it, but he was dealing with the police.
There's no time to get rid of the evidence.
We ran for the woods.
One of the men Darwin's working with escapes with him. The rest of the crew aren't so lucky.
And after a couple hours, we come out of the woods and came back.
Darwin thinks the coast is clear. But he's dead wrong.
Freeze! Hands up! I can see them. Put them up. Keep your hands up. Down. Get down on your knees. Get on your knees.
They were able to arrest Tony and a number of other people.
Don't move.
There was over 3,000 pounds that was seized.
Darwin is booked on a federal smuggling charge. He waives extradition and is sent to Miami, Florida to await trial.
When they put us in jail, here's all these guys with these long beards and long fingernails and toenails. And it was a Zion Coptic church.
Same to you, brother.
Finally, two of Florida's most prolific drug smugglers meet. Darwin is jailed with none other than Carl Swanson, second in command at the Coptic church. He's back in lockup on a new minor charge.
Caught with a big plane full of that gobshite.
I said, yeah, one of the hazards of, in the train.
Anything, everything.
With Swanson's endless supply of marijuana and Darwin's piloting skills, the two quickly realize the potential for doing big business together.
Is it good money? We'll talk a little more in the future.
Darwin is convicted of conspiracy to transport and distribute marijuana, but his lawyers get him out on bail while they appeal his case.
Thank you very much. Absolutely.
It all comes down to one word again, money. You can get an attorney, you can drag your case out, you can get the charges reduced, or in most cases, dismissed.
Go. It's Tony. Hey, Tony, how you doing, brother?
Swanson is also free and back to business.
So I'm ready to do it. Are you ready?
They waste no time linking up and planning their first shipment.
If we're gonna go from here, we want to end up over here.
Now, Darwin and the Coptics kick their smuggling into overdrive.
Okay.
Within like a month, we were running loads out of Colombia and God knows where else.
The Coptics are supplying marijuana to dealers all over the country. It all comes in through South Florida by boat and plane.
The Coptics were off the charts. They had access to virtually unlimited supply of marijuana.
This is for you, sir. Thank you very much.
We wouldn't do a run for underneath $1 million. Oh, it was great. Fabulous.
Darwin can't bring it in fast enough. His fortune multiplies exponentially. He celebrates by buying a mansion in Fort Lauderdale.
Tony's home was like a modern-day Bin Laden compound, only more luxurious. He had an 8-foot wall around the entire house.
God, it was fun living there. And we used to jump off the 3rd floor, too, into the pool.
Everything is at his disposal, including expensive toys and beautiful women.
It was screaming, yes, I'm a drug smuggler.
Darwin's living the ultimate life of luxury. Then, in the fall of 1978, he finds someone to share it with. Elena.
And the first night I met her, she was just a very beautiful woman. You fell in love with her.
The smart, calculating smuggler and former lawyer is instantly smitten.
I probably knew her for about 3 or 4 months, and then she moved into the mansion.
Darwin spoils his new girlfriend with clothes, jewelry, and cash. He thinks he's finally got it all. June 1979, Lakeland, Florida. An old marijuana connection of Darwin's named Sonny Rich is caught in a pickup truck loaded with more than 100 pounds of pot.
Polk County Sheriff's Office arrested him. And he raises his hand basically and said, listen, get a hold of Manny Funes. He's working a big case, and I can help him out.
Rich knows all about Darwin's relationship with the Coptics. If he gives him up, Darwin's days of flying under the radar will be over. June 1979, Lakeland, Florida. 33-year-old former lawyer Tony Darwin has made millions as a pot pilot for nearly 10 years without ever doing hard time. Now, someone who can lead police right to him is in the hot seat. If he makes a deal, Darwin's days of living large are numbered.
Sonny, wanna talk to me?
Just trying to make a deal, man.
Under questioning, Sonny Rich drops a bombshell.
I got a pilot for you guys.
Do you have a real pilot, or do you have some bull for me?
And Sonny says, listen, I can give you the Coptics. This guy is on the inside. He's been flying thousands of pounds of dope from Jamaica and Colombia to Florida.
I mean, does a real pilot have a name like Tony Darwin?
And he had information that corroborated stuff that I already had as far as intelligence.
I know who he works with.
So I listened to him.
Okay, Sonny,
I started looking at Tony, researching his background.
yeah, let's do this.
Agent Funes can tell from Darwin's arrest record and lavish lifestyle that he's a smuggler.
It's clean, he's got nothing on him, and fine things that's fit on a baby's ass.
But Darwin appears to be legally untouchable. That is, until Agent Funes discovers that he lied about being convicted of smuggling in Georgia when renewing his pilot's license.
And I knew he was chasing us for all my contacts, and it was like the cat and the mouse. I was the mouse, and he was the cat with the long paw.
We got something, we got something.
Agent Funes knows it's a small charge that won't stick, but he's hoping that Darwin will make a deal.
Let's write Tony Darwin.
He gets a warrant and stakes out Darwin's Fort Lauderdale fortress.
All right, yes, sir, thank you. Throw.
Cool, sooner or later, his vehicles are here.
On September 14th, 1979, 3 months after getting the tip, Agent Funes finally spots his suspect.
We got one right there. Okay, let's go.
He pulls up behind Darwin and signals for him to pull over. The two men come face to face for the first time.
Tony Darwin, how you doing? I'm Agent Manny Funes.
I was really impressed with the way he responded to us. Oh, so you're Manny Funes, you know, and how you doing?
Hey, Manny, what's up, guy? He was cool. I like Manny. He was all right.
Got some questions we'd like to ask?
Agent Funes brings Darwin in for questioning.
There's some things that we have on you.
They try to get me to roll over, put pressure on me.
Let's do what we have to say.
He come in and said, listen, we know what you're doing. And I said, yeah, you know that I know that you know.
I know where you're from.
He says, well, we're about to arrest a bunch of people, and you're one of them. He said, we'll cut you some slack.
So you can cooperate with this.
Their famous words are cooperate, which means snitch, roll over, tell them what you know.
Darwin reveals nothing.
Do yourself a favor.
Tony wouldn't have nothing to do with me. He wouldn't even speak to me. The word I got back was talk to my attorney.
Agent Funes can't hold him on the charge. After several hours, Darwin goes free once again.
What do we have to do to keep these guys in jail? That was very difficult to take.
Agent Funes tries to keep the pressure on.
Yep, I got some information for you. I got a guy on a carload of cash. He'll have to pay his taxes.
So I decided to go after Tony's assets.
That's when it went from a 2 on the scale of heat to a number 9 on the scale of heat.
But Agent Funes can't fight Darwin's fortune.
It was a joke. They grabbed the 4 cars.
Tony's attorney showed up with a bunch of cash and bought the vehicles back.
His only hope is that Darwin will slip up and lead him to another shipment. With surveillance in place, Agent Funes sits and waits for Darwin to make his next move.
You were constantly aware that there was people looking at you and tapping phones and shooting you with mics, and you had to be very careful what you said and what you did.
Got you some coffee.
Darwin isn't worried about the surveillance, his pending court cases, or laying low.
We had so many planes and so many different airports and destinations, and we always swept the airplane for transponders.
He thinks he's invincible. October 1st, 1979. It's just 2 weeks since Darwin's latest arrest, and he is once again bringing in a drug shipment over the Florida Everglades.
You're amazing, brother.
Coptic leader Carl Swanson is riding shotgun in the cockpit of the twin-engine plane.
They had 3,000 pounds of pot.
Darwin is flying extremely low to avoid detection by radar. He knows the Florida Everglades are flat, and there's nothing to hit, unless it's man-made.
The way you came in is you came over the coastline 50, 100 feet. You'd be looking up at the apartment buildings. This is late at night, at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
He is flying an uncharted course.
And we never checked the obstructions.
Tony,
We took out the top of the tower. The communication tower, there's 15 foot of the top of the tower. Come through the windshield and immediately instantly decapitated him. Took his head off.
The impact that slices Swanson's head off also flips the plane upside down.
There's blood everywhere. It's all blood, guts, and brains.
Darwin, covered in his friend's blood, struggles to regain control of the airplane.
You lose both engines, you got a dead body, you got marijuana on there. It's a place you don't want to be in.
October 1st, 1979, somewhere over the Florida Everglades. Drug smuggler Tony Darwin is desperately trying to regain control of his airplane. After a collision with a radio tower decapitated his passenger, Coptic drug ringleader Carl Swanson.
My plane rolled on his back. So instead of pulling back on the controls, you have to push forward. You get up to about 300 feet, then you snap roll it.
Darwin's skillful maneuvers right the plane, but it's dead in the sky.
Destroyed both the engines. There was sparks coming out of the engines and fire coming out of one of them. So you become a glider. You say a prayer and you pull the power back.
Darwin braces for impact.
You belly landed in the middle of the Everglades. We missed a canal by 100 feet. It was just an absolute miracle.
But Darwin's not out of the woods yet. He's still more than 5 miles from his intended landing strip. He must rely on his pilot training to navigate the rest of the way through the swamp, abandoning the dead Coptic leader and 1.5 tons of marijuana.
He wades through the marshes, hits a very wide canal.
Swim across the canal, you get to the road, then run another 5 or 6 miles to the airport. It was quite quite an adventure.
Darwin tells the crew at the airstrip what happened.
It's gone. We gotta go.
Do you hear me? We got to go now. Now.
I had purchased that airplane, and so I knew the police were going to be looking for me.
Darwin knows he doesn't have much time. He gets a ride back to his Fort Lauderdale home.
Baby, get up. Get up now. We gotta go. I'm totally serious. We're going.
Even though he knows his house is being watched, he has to risk it. Darwin grabs his ID, his girlfriend Elena, and some cash, and disappears.
This was like 4 o'clock in the morning. As soon as it's daylight, people are going to see an airplane sitting out there. You have to be always thinking. If you're not thinking, you're dying.
Darwin digs up several of his cash pipes as Elena packs their bags.
I packed up about $500,000 in cash and got the hell out of Dodge.
They head off to the Fort Lauderdale airport and take off in another of Darwin's planes.
We landed in Los Angeles, and on the front page of the Los Angeles paper was an article about what had happened hours before out in Florida.
Next, the couple hops a commercial flight to Australia. Darwin is over international waters before anyone connects him to the crash. Back in Florida, Agent Funes has been called to the crash scene.
I get down there and I was able to see the aircraft.
Today? It's definitely within the last day. You guys pull it out, or did you find it outside?
There was approximately 2,000 pounds in the plane, and brains and blood throughout the cockpit itself.
Agent Funes suspects Darwin was flying the plane.
I was able to reconstruct what took place. He had to be quite a pilot.
He traces the tail number on the plane back to the Fort Lauderdale airport.
I learned that he used the name Cash Green to buy a plane in Fort Lauderdale.
Agent Funes has Darwin's mugshot sent to the airfield to confirm that Cash Green and Tony Darwin are one and the same. He also identifies the body.
Carl was the first guy I arrested, and certainly I knew what he looked like. Half of his head, face was just smashed in. It was quite a mess.
The gruesome scene provides Agent Funes with everything he needs to tie Darwin to the Coptics and the huge shipment of pot.
I was able to put him in the plane also because of fingerprints. Then we started looking for him.
Meanwhile, a hemisphere away, Darwin's put the incident out of his mind.
When we got to Australia, we partied. Bought a brand new Ferrari. Bought a brand new home right in Betrayal waters. It was right on the water. It was beautiful. Spent the first month just furnishing everything. We lived good. It was so much fun. I was just having a blast.
Please, don't touch me! Don't touch me!
But the honeymoon doesn't last long.
I don't want to go to dinner. I want to go home. Sorry.
After just 7 luxurious months on the run, Darwin's girlfriend Elena wants to go home.
I don't do anything. At least let me go shopping.
Despite their glamorous lifestyle, she is fed up with being a fugitive.
No, I'm excited. I can call my family.
We lived like king and a queen, but she didn't like it there.
I want to be able to have my own money. No, much money.
She became very money-oriented. Gimme, I need this.
My own account?
When Darwin refuses to give in to her demands, Elena goes back to the States.
Well, I'm going through a really rough time right now. Because I have no money, Tony.
But it isn't long before she gets in touch.
But babe, come on.
You promised that you're gonna take care of me.
She had called me up and threatened me.
On the run. By your side.
I don't have enough money. I want more money.
Well, let's do like this.
Elena says she will turn Darwin in unless he pays for her silence.
I'm gonna tell them what your alias, Tony.
That's not gonna happen.
I was living under one name, and she's the only person who knew that name.
You have 24 hours to make up your mind.
Darwin's fugitive paradise will crumble if Elena gives him up. He's trusted the wrong person, and it may cost him everything. For more stories about fugitives on the run, go to investigationdiscovery.com. May 1980, Benoa Waters, Australia. 34-year-old pod pilot Tony Darwin is hiding out in Australia after crashing a plane loaded with weed in the Florida Everglades.
Get up now. We gotta go.
Now his ex-lover is threatening to turn him in unless he pays her off.
Hey, come on.
You promised that you're gonna take care of me. You have 24 hours.
Darwin suspects that his former girlfriend isn't working alone. He decides to do a little investigating of his own.
Back then, the only way that you could make contact with the States, they had a public building where all the phones were at.
So?
A little cash confirms Darwin's suspicions.
Same man. She had called her ex-boyfriend a couple times. And said, I gotta get out of here. I hate the place. I knew something was bad wrong.
To stay free, Darwin decides he'll have to risk flying back to the U.S. to pay her off. Meanwhile, back in Inverness, Florida, Agent Funes has had no lead since the plane crash that killed Coptic leader Carl Swanson and put Tony Darwin on the run. But he's about to get a big break that will put Darwin back in the spotlight.
There was a man and his son fishing on the side of the bank of the barge canal.
The two witnesses see men moving bales through the water. They call the Florida Marine Patrol, who in turn call Manny Funes. Agent Funes readies his task force for a raid.
All right, folks, here's the news. We got some...
We reached out also to Citrus County Sheriff's Office. Together, we sent as many people as we could. We tried to flood the area.
All right, let's roll.
Sheriff's office, let's get those hands here.
And we arrested 23 Coptics and seized 19 tons of marijuana in the yacht.
Let's move.
We seized a bunch of money in different vehicles.
Let's move these hippies.
The operation captures all the leaders of the Coptics in one fell swoop. With two high-profile seizures in less than a year, Agent Funes is confident they will be convicted at trial. Now, Tony Darwin is the only missing piece of the puzzle. June 1980. Darwin meets Elena at a fancy hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, her ex-boyfriend's hometown.
She came back to the States and immediately shacked up with her ex-boyfriend. I flew up to Atlanta. She had met me there, and I had a suitcase of money.
You ready to come back with me?
Elena wants cash. Darwin wants Elena.
$1 million would fit into a small briefcase with no problem. Piece of cake.
He tells her she can have whatever she wants if she stays with him. He asks her to come with him to his property in Hawaii.
We spent the night together, and the next morning, when I opened up the briefcase, all the money was gone and she was gone.
Elena.
Darwin's been duped.
I left out of there. I had code words again where I could get money out of the banks. And I flew to Hawaii.
But it isn't long before Elena surfaces again and calls him in Hawaii.
I guess her boyfriend and her didn't feel there was enough money in there. She calls me up one evening. And she says, "You ain't getting away that easy. I want some more money."
Darwin's not sure what to do.
How are you doing with all that money they took?
You couldn't just cut the ties that quick, because if you did, she'd turn you into the cops.
Why do you want more money?
Well, if you don't give it to me, I'm gonna tell the cops.
I was just trying to figure a way to get out of there without her knowing about it.
Darwin needs to stall.
It would take a couple weeks to get new IDs.
To buy himself some time, Darwin asks Elena to come to Honolulu.
You gotta see this place, Jerry.
It could be a huge and costly mistake.
Where should I meet you?
Elena suspects Darwin won't actually pay her off. But she thinks maybe the feds will.
I ran across his ex. She was not really happy with Tony.
She called him up and said, look, I want $150 or $250,000 to turn this guy in.
Yeah, I know him.
And I want $250,000 to tell you where he is.
No, but I can send 2 guys over and arrest you for aiding and abetting.
And they wouldn't give her a penny.
What do you mean?
Elena, seeing no way to cash in, and now scared of being arrested, rats Darwin out anyway.
She told me where he was in Honolulu.
Agent Funes immediately contacts the DEA in Hawaii. On June 25th, 1980, they pay Darwin a visit.
They went knocking at the door.
Get him. Let's do it.
Darwin's expecting Elena.
Are you Tony Darwin? I got a knock on the door, and here they are. Hey, we're with the Drug Enforcement Administration.
You're under arrest.
He realizes Elena has turned him in.
This whole time, unbeknownst to me, she was in touch with the DEA and whoever was investigating us.
Darwin goes down without a fight.
Tony answered the door. They said, are you Tony Darwin? And Tony says, yeah. And they arrested him.
He is tried along with 18 key members of the Coptic Church. The Coptics are all convicted. They receive sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years in prison. Tony Darwin is convicted and sentenced to 18 years in federal prison. He serves 8. Darwin is now a successful businessman living in South Florida, a man with no regrets.
We were never hurting people. Today, they're guns and killing and looting and robbing and murder. Back then, it was a gentleman's game. And if I had to do all over, so they took 10 years out of my life. Who cares? In a heartbeat, I'd do it.
Thank you for watching Investigation Discovery on Demand.